journalist covering this from Malaga province. Jon Clarke is the editor of the Olive Press newspaper. Thank you for coming on the programme.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, I'm here at the emergency centre, at the nurse centre in Andalucía. I've just been up to Alara, which was the worst affected area here in Andalucía, where I saw an amazing number of cars that had been swept away. I think there were 30 or 35 of them swept away there. An absolute miracle that nobody has so far been killed in Andalucía. I mean, the rainfall was absolutely staggering. And although we haven't had the same figures as Valencia, where I think there were 400 litres per metre squared, we had well over 100 in a day, in just a few hours, and loads of roads were cut off around Ronda where I live and down to Marbella where I have my office. Staff couldn't get into work. There have been countless roads. I think 200 kilometres of rural roads have been cut off, and it's been quite shocking.
What we're just seeing some images that you gave to us here of cars in all sorts of trouble. What about the people where you are? What are people being told to do?
Well, actually, what's happened just now is in the last half an hour they've just called a red alert for Cadiz as well as Ceuta. Now, Cadiz is obviously the next province along from Malaga, and people are just being told to be very careful, to stay at home, do not go out. As there's been so much rain, it's so saturated that any rain that falls now, and I feel like it's about to drop any second here, when the rain does finally come down, it's going to go straight into rivers. And those rivers, apparently in Alara alone, the rivers flooded. The Guadalhorce River rose by 7 metres. And various people I spoke to in Alara village today said that their houses had a metre and a half of rain inside them. So they were really scared.
It's just extraordinary scale and intensity of all this. What are people expecting over the next couple of days?
Well, there's definitely yellow, orange and red alerts around Andalucía for the next 24 hours. We haven't had any rain at all for pretty much 2 years. We've been living in drought conditions, and we've had a lot of trees die, walnut trees died, chestnut trees have died from the drought. And so in lots of ways, it's fantastic to have this much rain. The reservoirs at one point one of the reservoirs was 8% full, and so we're in real danger of they call this, the one with 8%, a dead reservoir, and we were in real danger of running out of water here in the summer in the Costa del Sol. So I think this is a godsend in some ways. Obviously, it's horrific what happened in Valencia, and I think, as Guy just reported, 68 confirmed dead, maybe over 70 now, and there's certainly dozens more missing. And I think in Paiporte, which is one of the worst affected, where 36 people have died, apparently even a couple of police, Guardias Civil, who were in their barracks, I think 2 of their girlfriends died, possibly a third died going down into the basement to try and rescue someone, while I think 5 people died in an old people's home there, which is so horrific, isn't it? Because they obviously can't get out. So, I think we're expecting, I would expect this to be the largest natural disaster, at least for the last 50 years, if not 100 years here in Spain.
And John, what about the warning? Give us a sense of what kind of warnings came ahead of all this.
Okay, so, I mean, the point now is that we've had a couple of tragedies in the last few years. In Mallorca, where we have a newspaper, we reported on 13 dying in 2018, and that was from a Dana, or what they call a cold drop of gota fria. And we also had 3 years ago in south of Valencia, in the Ribera Baja, we had, I think, 10 people died down there. So they're getting used to this now, and this extreme weather's getting worse and worse with global warming. And of course, I'm sure you've explained it to your listeners and viewers that this is when warm air comes up from the south and it meets the kind of cold air that drops in from Central Europe, and it causes an incredible, unstable weather front. And you may have seen some of the incredible tormentors, I mean, almost like tornadoes that were seen last night. And I think it was at 7 o'clock last night in Valencia, when people were coming home from work in rush hour, when most people were caught in their cars and when most people died. And I think, this is something that we're getting used to now. It's getting worse and worse, and we're just getting used to the fact that we're having 9 months of effectively heat, or not quite 9 months, but 8 months of heat, and then kind of 4 months of what could be really dangerous storms and rain.
Jon Clarke, thank you so much for coming on the programme and talking us through that. Thank you. I'll go ahead to the Middle East now. The Israeli